folks, and welcome to our channel. So today we're going to be looking at the books that I have read in May 2025. And when I got my pile of books and put it in front of me, they're just here, I was like, I'm going to have to start this video with the words, I haven't actually read much this month because yada, 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 yada. And I was like, no, don't, because I don't know about you, but when I actually, because if you've been with me a while, you know I had a go at YouTube last, a go at BookTube last year full time, and I just found it so overwhelming and so disheartening and so frustrating in relation to how so many creators were just blasting through books. And I know many of you were saying in the comments that you were also feeling overwhelmed with booktube. And I've read, 10 books in a month. I've read 8 books in a month. I've read 15, 20. I've seen videos where they've read 20 or more. I remember also, I don't follow this person anymore, but this person claimed to have read over 300 books in their year wrap up, favourite books of the year. And it just overwhelmed me. And since I've stepped away from doing YouTube full time, not YouTube, BookTube full time, I still do this content, this wrap up, because I do like it. My reading has actually slowed. And one of the things, if you followed me when I was doing BookTube a lot, I was talking about was actually slowing down our reading and enjoying and embracing the other aspects of life. And life not just all being about reading a book, because I think sometimes we can gobble a book up too much. And I think in the world we've got now where books are being written and published at a very fast rate and TBRs are growing at a very fast rate, it can be so easy to get so overwhelmed with books. So whether you've read one book, half a book, a page, or whatever, happy reading. Because I think once you start to slow down, you enjoy it more. It's not a competition, and it shouldn't be a competition. Um, we have gone away quite a couple of times in May, and there's been other stuff going on. I've got other hobbies going on. I've got, the business healing for ascension going on and all of that. So let's get to it. The first book I read and completed in May was this one. It is Conversations with Nostradamus, Volume 1, His Prophecies Explained by Dolores Cannon. Okay. And this is very much like all her other books, where it's with clients, patients, and they go through hypnosis. And when they're in hypnosis, there's lots of revelations about other worlds, other dimensions, past lives, future lives. This work, this whole body of work that she's done is really popular, really famous, and well loved by myself and many others. And this book, for although it's very thin, there's a lot in it. There's a lot packed into it. I mean, there's a lot on the pages as well. It's done like, like a theatre where there's speeches of what's been said in these sessions. I found this book really, really interesting and had a bit of a roller coaster with it and a bit of a frustration with it. When you're reading it, this book I think was written in the 80s, or the work was done in the 80s. And a lot of the prophecies they were talking about in relation of happening within the next few years. And these awful prophecies, like really awful prophecies. And I was reading this thinking, if I'd have picked this up in 1987, it would have terrified me. It would have absolutely terrified me. But because I've picked it up, what, God, 30 odd, 40 years later, and actually, we survived and we got through it, and things possibly didn't work out in the way they thought. He talks in here about, deviating away from these toxic timelines and finding the higher timeline with an itchy nose. Maybe we have done that, but I think as well with predictions, they can come in at any point at any time. It was interesting. It was thought provoking. It was a teachable moment for me as a reader, as a psychic reader. And I think I genuinely feel that what he saw was true. I think we've got out of a lot of what he saw. I think sometimes things can happen in slightly different ways. He does mention that, and you get this with some of the prophecies where people get really triggered, like, the one with the king and the man that's not meant to be king becomes a king, yada yada. You mention that in relation to Harry and William, and literally it flips people out. It's already happened, it's already happened with like George and Edward. Yeah, but he actually mentions in this book that some of the prophecies were written in code for a reason, and some of them can repeat, and some of them can happen at more than one time. So, very interesting. If you like this type of work, very interesting. I then went on to the fourth book in the Six Tudor Queen series by Alison Weir. And this is Anna of Cleave, Queen of Secrets. Her name isn't actually pronounced Cleave. She actually explains in the book how it is pronounced. I mean, we, as in the Brits, have always called her Anne of Cleves. And it wasn't. Her name was Anna. And I think it was Anna of Cave. I think it was that. Cave as in wave is explained in the book. Um, my God, her story was profound. This man married six profound women with profound complexities, profound emotions. Just when you think, I've got my favourite Tudor wife, you read the next book and you're like, no, I haven't. I've just found her again. This story of this young woman, young girl practically, that comes in from Germany and is greeted by what looks like a tramp. And it turns out to be the King of Christendom, King Henry VIII. And literally, her reaction is a nail in her coffin because she's repulsed by him. She doesn't realise he's the king. And it goes on. This book also talks about a conspiracy where it's alleged or queried that maybe Anna of Cave had a secret child before she came to the UK. And there is talk of this apparently. There is a lot of history that points to concerns and um, descriptions of her body, and they say that, Henry had slept with many women, so he knew what a virgin looked like. And it alludes to the fact of her having, stretch marks. But you can have stretch marks if you've been weighty and you've lost weight. But I think they're talking about like the tummy area where if you can kind of tell when a woman's, I don't know. And rumors and innuendo that she had this son and that there was this mysterious man in her court. And I was like, my God, I never even knew about this. Um, Obviously it's all alleged, but so interesting and so, but also as well frustrating because this man was incredibly weird and cruel to her. He was so hot and cold, banishing her like that, but she wanted to be his friend. So the book says, so the history papers say. Possibly wanted to be his friend to keep him on side because, his second wife got beheaded. But there were parts of this book that you looked at and was like, oh, why would you want to be friends with someone that had such a darkness about them and just banished you? But from a perspective of her and as a female, she was possibly trying to save her neck. And actually, it worked because, she got a good payout. She was known as the King's sister. She got a fairly good life towards the end as Henry died. And, before he died, when he got, Catherine Howard and then Catherine Parr and other people came into his life and he got older and it passed to Mary. Money wasn't as flowing as much and her health with the cancer. Um, so life did get difficult in the end. But apart from that, compared to what happened to his previous three wives, life was good for her. She walked away with something and made a life for herself. You know, Why she wanted to be his friend, I don't know. But maybe that was it. Life is complex, isn't it? Maybe, I mean, we've had this conversation about Henry on other channels that there was a personality issue there. And maybe there was an aspect of Henry that was a loving man that you would have wanted as a friend. I don't know. Well, the next book that I read was called Love Yourself Sober by Kate Bailey and Mandy Manners. Now, I went fully sober. So I started to go sober in 2019, I think, and I got that app where you track your sobriety, and I did it for a year. And then the following year, was it 2019? Or was it after? I can't remember. The following year, we did it where we just drank at, we had a full year, so we had a full year tracking it and reducing it, were total sobriety. Then the year where we just drank at parties and weddings and birthdays. And then I think it's this year. Well, I can't remember. Oh, it could be 2 years. Doesn't matter. And then Christmas last year, I decided to go for it fully. But I thought I'd get a few books just to let me learn about alcohol and the effects of alcohol because it is a drug. And I think anyone that drinks has a problem with it. And this book that I've been reading actually says that even those that you think just have the one, and it goes into the fact that it is a drug and that it possibly should be classified as a drug and banned in the same way as drugs are banned. And that, in years to come, how we will look at alcohol and the dangers of alcohol and the repercussions of it will change our perspective in great ways. And it talks about how it's affecting women. I mean, this book is for mums, so self-care guide to alcohol-free living for busy mothers. I didn't realise the mummy drink culture. And that is actually really scary because they talk about it in here. And I'm listening to a podcast at the minute and they're talking about it. End of term drinkies, end of year drinkies, end of week drinkies. I remember knowing somebody that actually openly said that she judged her own children's friends by if their mummy drank. And if their mummy drank, they were welcome to be friends with them. But if mummy didn't drink, she didn't want them connecting with them. That's toxic. But the person that said it was very toxic as well. We don't know her now. But yeah, it talks about the fact that men used to be the big drinkers of society and how women are well, not slowly, quite quickly taking over the big drinkers of society. It talks about how women are feeling marginalised, how women are feeling with hormonal issues, societal breakdowns, the pressure of having to work, clean house, cook, feed, rear, give birth, deal with periods, drive, become taxi, bank of mum and dad, the breaking down of structures, the modern day grandparent in some cases not being as hands on as previous grandparents, and all of this accumulating into a volcano, and women finding solace in drinks, and how even school life and mums and drink and all of that. And for women to actually not drink, you can very easily become the outcast. Um, and we kind of know what women are like when they get into a clique and they get into a group and they get a few sherries down them. It can be quite toxic or very toxic. So it was a fascinating book. It gives you little tasks to do throughout and journaling tasks to do. I would say I would get this book, but I would work alongside something else. This book can work for you, but these books are okay, but sometimes they can leave you feeling a little bit more, if that makes sense. So this isn't just something I think you'd just totally rely on to give up drinking. It's something that you'd add to the mix. So as well as therapy, exercise, podcasts, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't, I mean, some people could pick this up and it changes their life forever, and they possibly had. But I think as somebody that's read it, I'd say have other things in your life, other support networks. It also talks about, the importance of support network and support groups and Facebook groups. And I've actually joined one on there that they recommend. I don't post on it. I give people likes and support now and again. And it's a sad thing. It's really, really sad how so many women have just lost themselves. I know I lost myself, years ago in the past with it, and I've done a podcast on that now. Um, In fact, if I remember, if I forget, don't judge me for it. But if I remember, I'll put it down. If I do forget and you want to watch the podcast, do put a comment. But just say, Claire, you've not put the podcast in. Can you just send me the link and I'll just put it in your comment section? Yeah. Um. So yes, that's what I've read in May. Three books. But you know what? It is what it is. I've also realised as well that there's an issue with my eyes. My eyes have changed with the hormones. So the glasses that I'm using are actually what I found out are distance glasses. The last time I had an eye appointment, I had a shit optician and it was an awful experience. I don't think he gave a shit what he was doing. I don't think he knew what he was doing. It was rammed. It was a Saturday. It was just like nobody. It had an energy of the whole opticians of lots of staff, but they all twiddling them thumbs. It was awful. And he didn't really describe anything to me. Whereas this optician, she was female, she understood about hormones, she explained things. So I'm now getting distance glasses and reading glasses. So yeah, I think I've had to step back from the diamond art this month, well, the last 2 weeks of the month because I'm squinting. I can see it, but it's not clear. And I just don't want to put any more pressure on my eyes. So I think that's played a part in reading as well. So yes, getting that sorted, getting the glasses next week. Yes. Have you read any of those? How did you find the Six Tudor Queens? Did you get up to Anna of Cave? I think it's Anna of Cave, isn't it? Wave. Have you read any of those? Have you read the Nostradamus, The Love Yourself Sober? What do you think to those books? And share also as well any book recommendations down below. If you got to the end of this video and you want to leave a comment but not sure what to put, leave me a cup of tea for sobriety. Sobriety. Thank you for watching. There is a playlist on here called BookTube where you can go through my bookish content if that's what you like. We do a mixture of things on here. It's not just BookTube, it's vlogs, natters, tours, book stuff, lifestyle stuff. Thanks for watching. Love to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.